All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Environmental Studies / Education Abroad Program Info Session. We're so happy to have you with us tonight. My name is Eric Zimmerman and I'm the Student Services Officer for the Environmental Studies Program. It's just a fancy title for, I do a little bit of everything within the Environmental Studies Program, but one of my favorite things I get to do in addition to academic advising is to help provide information and to hopefully facilitate our students in environmental studies from getting to go travel abroad or study abroad. So I'm very excited to be here today, to have you guys here to find out more about Education Abroad program through the University of California. We have Chris Silverstein from EAP. We have 4 ES majors who are returning EAP participants who are going to be sharing a little bit about their adventures and where they went. And then we will definitely stick around at the end for a Q&A and answer any specific questions that you might have. There are some specific things that we want you to know about studying abroad as an environmental studies major. All good stuff. It's very exciting. We have a lot of options for you to apply EAP units. And I will just say that we are one of the largest departments on campus that sends students abroad. Unfortunately this year, because the program was suspended due to COVID, our numbers are obviously down. But last year we set a record with about 101 environmental studies majors studying abroad in 24 different countries through the UC EAP program. So I always get asked, where should I go to study abroad as an ES major in EAP? My answer is, where do you want to go? Our students go all around the world. So with that, welcome again, but I would like to turn it over now to Chris Silverstein from the Education Abroad office here at the UCSB campus. Chris, take it away.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you everyone for showing up. So I'm going to get started right now. I'm going to
Hey, Chris, I think you accidentally got muted.
Yeah, Chris, can you fix that? There you go.
Yeah, okay, you can hear me?
Yep.
No problem. Okay, I'm going to just walk through a PowerPoint, and then as Eric mentioned, we have students and we're going to have time for discussion. So this meeting is really focused on studying abroad in ES, and I just want you to know we have a lot of meetings in our office that's more general about study abroad, and I really want this to be a shorter meeting that's more focused, so it's not covering, housing and logistics and when to apply, costs, finances, all of those topics. Every Friday we have a Study Abroad 101. We have every Friday a cost and scholarship meeting. So please, go to these other meetings. Those are also going to be recorded like this one. So if you can't make it on the Friday, you'll be able to check out the YouTube site or on our website. I just will mention briefly, even though I'm not going into detail, if you are on financial aid, it will travel with you. There are scholarships available too. So don't think that money should stop you from studying abroad. The other thing I want to just mention that is general is obviously there's a pandemic going on, and yes, it has really changed the study abroad world currently. All of our programs are suspended right now, but we are currently actively recruiting for programs this summer and fall. So, UC EAP is the system-wide office, and they are the ones monitoring this very fluid situation. They are the ones calling the shots on this, but we are, planning optimistically that these programs will go ahead. Though I can't guarantee anything other than I can guarantee that if you don't plan for it and if you don't apply, you will definitely not be going. Applying is free, so my advice is yes, research, plan, and apply. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why I think you should go, where are the locations you could be considering, what are some of the things you could do when you're abroad, how to go about it, and then, as Eric mentioned, we have 4 students, you're really lucky, who went on programs in Spain, Singapore, Scotland, Netherlands. So a wide range of opportunities that they'll be talking about, share their stories, and even some photos. So why? Why do I think you should go? Well, what better way to combine academics, progress to your degree, with the adventure of a lifetime? Here are a couple pictures. Maria, ES student, vegetarian who went to school with ranchers in sheep country in New Zealand. I mean, she came back and talked about that experience as so unique. Eric's nodding, he remembers. Josh, another one of our students, he studied in Bangkok, Thailand, with students from just, so many countries around the world. So, and the part I also want to emphasize is this is studying and living in a place. This isn't a travel program. Yes, you could certainly have opportunities to travel, and I'm sure you will. But I imagine most of you have been abroad already, and if you haven't, you certainly will once life gets back to normal. You will have all kinds of opportunities for travel, but you don't have many opportunities in life to live in another country. And this is it. So remember that and don't let that opportunity pass you up. Other things to think about, you make you marketable. Of course, it's going to challenge you in all kinds of ways. And then also think about some unique opportunities, unique coursework, unique places where you're going to live, research opportunities, and internship opportunities. So now let's talk a little bit about where you could go. Well, there are over 150 programs, 40 countries. Those numbers are a little fluid because programs sometimes get canceled. More likely there'll be new ones added. So one way to sift through it is go to the UC EAP website and use this filter called Find a Program. So now from 150, if I put in the discipline area of environmental studies and environmental studies as a subject, I get 79. But as you know, and Eric will talk about more, the ES major is really broad. So you do not need to be focusing just on environmental studies courses and have it count for your major. So this is just a filter I put in, you can play around with. You could also filter by what language do you want your courses taught in. Maybe you are fluent in French, or you will be, German, so you could use that filter. Maybe you know exactly the time you want to go, a summer program, a fall semester. So those are all filters to use to start sifting through the programs to get an idea of where you might want to go. The other resources I want to recommend is going to the UCSB EAP website. So there are two websites that are critical here. One is UC EAP, that's where all the program information is. And the link, you'll get the link back and forth here. The other is UCSB, and that is for our campus website. So anything kind of campus related, you're going to find here. So topics such as getting started, applying, the due dates, finances, and academics. This academics, you'll find it drop-down menu for all majors. Some of you might be double majors. So you'll find here for all the majors academic advice. I'll point out a few other items on this website. One, contact us. That's where you'll find office hours, advising hours. And then news and events is where you'll find our calendar with all the meetings going on. So as I mentioned, the academics, you have, we call them major advising pages, maps for all the majors. Here's for ES majors. This is as scroll down with specific advice from the department. Also a lot of videos from students who have studied abroad in ES and done all kinds of different opportunities. Additionally, and I'm going to put links to all of these in the chat that you can copy and paste, so don't worry about that. This is the website from the Environmental Studies program page where, again, specific advice, links, guidelines. So I'm gonna, Eric, do you want to pop in here and talk about anything specifically, or do you want to?
I think you're doing a great job. Maybe I'll just wait till the end because you're on a roll. And I'm taking notes here as we go along, so I'll maybe kind of wrap it up at the end.
Okay, great. So other resources I want to alert you to, again, the academics tab, drop down, but also a fabulous database, Gaucho Credit Abroad. Now this is every course a UCSB has taken abroad ends up in this database eventually. And it will tell you how they applied that course credit. Maybe they just took that course for units to graduation. Maybe they applied it as a GE, or maybe they used it for their major. You can search that database. So when I searched, again, environmental studies for major credit, I found 785 courses in there. Now, this can be, first you can put in what kind of search material you want. Maybe you have 2 majors, maybe you're looking at GEs. But once you get these results, you can download these results, you can sort these results. So you could sort it by the UCSB requirement met. You even have specific course equivalents that are identified. So again, fabulous public resource. This database does not tell you these are pre-approved. It does not tell you these are offered at any point in time. And it does definitely not tell you what you are limited to, that you must take any of these courses. This is just history. This is just what people have done. There is so much more out there that you can do. There are new programs being added that no students have gone to, and you're not going to find any entries there. So keep it in mind. This is just history, but it can be a useful place to look, especially maybe you want to go to University of Sydney. And so then you can take a look, wow, look at all these really interesting courses and how do they apply? So now though you've searched through and you've decided, okay, I know the program I want to go to. This is where you want to go to find out the best information on what courses might be offered when you are going. So I pulled up, this is again, the UC EAP website. Just as an example, National University of Singapore, you'll have all these tabs: eligibility, what GPA do you need, academics. There'll be a lot of information, but I just cut and pasted from the links here that these is where you're going to want to go to link to the best source of information that is the most current. So their course catalog, their tips, their, in this case, there's a syllabus search, whatever the resources are there. Internships, I mentioned and gave an example of an internship. Internships, I think, are an amazing opportunity on study abroad. Many of our students find it much easier to arrange an internship because they might be living in a city and have, wonderful public transportation and simply just access to a lot more, whether it's companies, nonprofits, you name it. So here are a couple examples. Again, these were ES majors. Kesh in Bangkok interned at a nonprofit promoting accurate environmental journalism in Southeast Asia. Maria on the right there got not only an internship, but a $500 grant to start a bike share program in the town where she was studying. So, those are a couple of examples. How do you do that? Well, there's some programs that integrate internships as part of the program. It will be listed there. You get academic credit for the internship, but most students will do their internships much more fluidly, kind of they're going on an immersion. So that means they're going to a host university abroad, living in that city, and they would do an optional internship. Sometimes it could be for academic credit, or it could be just a volunteer opportunity. So again, most immersion programs, that would be a possibility for you. But there are some that it's just part of the program, in which case it's not even optional. It is just part of the program. How you get those internships, generally they're arranged when you're on the ground. And with assistance, if it's an academic internship, it could be through a course, it could be through the university where you're given resources to find that internship. If it's not a course, then it might be your study center that has connections in the community, and you tell them what are your interests. And then yes, you have to do legwork. I think homework again is helpful. I do want to mention that there's a special scholarship that UCSB has for Freeman internships in Asia. If you go to a certain countries in Asia and you've been accepted, you can apply to become a Freeman intern. So not only would you do an internship for academic credit, but it comes with a stipend. So consider looking into that. I won't stop. I'll just make sure we ask the students if they did any internships or knew of any students who did, because I do think that is an area that a lot of students are interested in. Okay, credits, how does it work? Well, every course, so you're going to be a full-time student when you're on UC EAP. Every course you take will earn you UC units towards graduation. Now, what if you want to use those courses towards major credit? Well, that is going to be subject to the discretion of the department. So you must work with your major department on that. You must take appropriate courses. You generally must make sure they're upper division for a letter grade. So you'll want to communicate with your department advisor before you go. Now, and perhaps while you're abroad, your plans will change. And I put here, plans don't equal enrollment. You have intentions, you're going to have to do a planning form before you go. And that is just what it's called. It's a planning form. It's not an enrollment. And we know you're not going to take all those courses. So you're going to be flexible, and you may need to reach out to your college, to your department to say, hey, I really, thought I was going to take that class. I didn't. I'm taking this one. Will this count for my major if you have any doubt? Now, how are you going to get the paperwork? It's got to be done after you come back. Show through grades that you have actually taken that course, and then you can petition through your department. If you have not had communication and had comfort from your department that a specific class is going to count for major credit, think about keeping your paperwork so you can show. Many host universities don't put online their syllabi or, a lot of description about the course. So you can bring that paperwork back with you to make sure you're going to get credit for what you expect. Our office, UCSB EAP, we are open virtually every day of the week. We have drop-in. We have a lot of students on staff there manning our front desk, every day. We also have full-time advisors who cover regional advising. It's all on our website under the contact us, our hours. The advisors will do shoreline appointments, but again, we also do drop-in. Some final tips. There's no such thing as starting your planning too early. If you're a freshman, you could consider going abroad next summer. That's, there's programs as soon as that. If you're a transfer student, start planning now. So the sooner you start your planning, the more likely you are going to really achieve the dreams that you have. You'll have the time to do the research. You also have time to do it, maybe preparation for a specific opportunity. Attend more meetings. As I mentioned, we are doing all kinds of meetings. We have meetings by country, meetings by topic. Check our calendar. We have International Education Week coming up, a lot of meetings. Consult your advisors, our study abroad advisors, your college advisors, and your academic advisors. And finally, and most importantly, don't miss out. If you don't apply, you're not going. So think where your classroom could be. All of these look a little bit different than UCSB or our bedrooms or strange offices that we're all working in right now. So yeah, plan for it. So let me stop there and stop my share. And
why don't I jump in real quick while you get the
please.
slides ready for the students? That'll be a nice segue. Thank you, Chris. That was, I mean, it's amazing. And as somebody who never got the chance to study abroad as an undergraduate, I can attest, don't be one of those people that, you know, have those regrets. And the programs that EAP offer today are just amazing. It is one of the largest education abroad programs in the world through the University of California. So all those universities, all those countries, all those programs that they have are at your disposal. And if you can make it work, I would say you'll come back and probably say it was one of the best things you ever did in your life. I just want to add a few things specific to environmental studies, and Chris mentioned this. Yeah, there are some great environmental programs out there, specifically at certain universities, both great universities for immersion programs where you actually are staying in that community and taking classes from, you know, some of the great New Zealand and Australia, South African universities that have a lot of environmental courses and whatnot available to you. There are also some very good specialized field environmental programs that are out there. One I can think of has been in Costa Rica now for almost 40 years. It's a great ecology program that the University of California runs. We were actually out in the forest the entire time at a field station. Another one that I was actually fortunate enough to help set up is a sustainability program in Chile, where you actually go and live in a community in southern Chile. And there are some professors there from the local university that are going to teach you some classes, but there's projects and you're going out and working on sustainability projects in that local community with the local people. There's a very strong indigenous community there that you get to work with. So there are some specialized environmental programs out there. There are some great universities that have good environmental courses. But as an environmental studies major, you should already be aware you have a lot of options and a lot of flexibility to fulfill different types of requirements in environmental studies. Of course, you can do as many lower division preparation courses as you want to abroad and come back and satisfy those. We have your Area A, your required courses that all ES majors have to take. We'll let you use up to 1, maybe 2 classes into that area. But the most flexible part of the major is your Area B electives. Those are the environmental courses that you can take from almost anywhere. We will allow you to take up to 12 units abroad and fulfill that area. And then the most flexible part is the Area C outside concentration. As the name implies, this is the units you take from outside the environmental studies program. So if you're a Bachelor of Arts major and you're really interested in learning more about the Spanish culture or Spanish language, you can go to Spain and not take a single environmental class, but take 20 units of Spanish or Spanish culture or Spanish literature and bring all of those units back and fulfill your entire outside concentration. Or maybe you're really interested in marine science, so you go to South Africa and you take a whole bunch of marine science courses through the local university there. You can bring all those units back and use them for your entire outside concentration. So combined, you have potentially up to 32 to 36 upper division units that you could apply towards your environmental studies major, plus lower division units, plus general education units. So anything from a quarter or semester long program all the way to a year long program is definitely on the table for you and available in just about any country in the UC EAP portfolio, because it just depends on what you personally are looking to do within your environmental studies degree and within your time here at UCSB. So don't be discouraged about, trying to only find environmental programs out there. There's many, many others out there. Don't, think about, do you want field studies oriented programs? Are you doing more of the cultural immersion type programs? And Elijah, who jumped on here, and thank you, Elijah, for joining us tonight, is the other ES advisor. Between the two of us, we are both experienced advisors. We've both been either visited a lot of EAP programs or participated ourselves. I know Elijah did a field studies program. So we are more than happy to help you figure it out. And finally, I'll just end by encouraging you to check out our abroad website in environmental studies. It's just our es.ucsb.edu/study-abroad. And on there is a guidelines to studying abroad for ES majors. And that will give you a step-by-step of everything you need to know about majoring or going abroad and how to bring those units back and apply them towards your ES major. Actually, we encourage encourage you to read that handout before you even come to us to have you sign off on your EAP application. So I'll post that onto the, oh, it's already there. Thank you. It's already there. So visit that site and then just scroll down and then download the study abroad, guidelines for studying abroad for ES majors. And that will go into much more detail than I just went over here today. But I just want to kind of echo everything that Chris said and encourage you guys to not, think outside the box. Studying abroad is a wonderful opportunity to get outside the, the classroom, get outside the Santa Barbara bubble, get outside the California and even the US bubble. The environment is everywhere, and there's no better way to learn about it than going and visiting these amazing locations and seeing how other people, how other cultures, other governments are dealing with their environmental issues. So EAP is a great conduit to help you get out there and do that. So with that, I will turn it back to Chris so she can maybe introduce our first student. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, Grace. I believe you're up first. Are you there?
Hello. My name's Grace. I am a senior ES major, and I studied abroad in Barcelona. Some of the main differences that I first noticed was, first of all, I went into a semester system versus a quarter system. But going in, I was a little nervous. I'm an ES major, Spanish minor, so I took a lot of classes that applied in that section C and kind of filled both, which was really nice. I ended up taking a sociology of the environment class there in Spanish, as well as some art history, Spanish culture classes. It was definitely a bit challenging taking that sociology of the environment class in Spanish, because in Barcelona they also speak Catalan, so I ran into some issues where the slides were in Catalan, I had to translate in Spanish, but it was all a very interesting experience, a very good experience. The teachers are very understanding and super excited to have kids from California come in and just be in their classes and be able to discuss. Some of the most important things that I got out of my abroad experience was it was a very maturing experience for me. I didn't live in any housing. I had a housing app, and I got to find 3 random housemates, but it ended up being 2 Brazilian girls and a girl from Japan. So English was not spoken. I learned a lot. I was speaking Spanish fluently. I was also the youngest by a few years, so it was living with adults in a new city, kind of breaking out of the Isla Vista bubble that I've become so accustomed to. And not even the Isla Vista bubble, but like the California bubble, like you were saying, Eric. It's a real thing. And you go to a new city where every other person you see is from other countries and come together and have so many different perspectives and outlooks on life. And I learned a lot, especially from the Spanish lifestyle, kind of learning to just chill, take things slower, and how a slower pace can help you get what you want from the moment that you're in. And then studied abroad. I knew I was going to want to live in Spain or abroad, somewhere South America. But living there made me so excited to go after I graduate. I've been looking into graduate schools abroad to further my education in environmental studies there. And overall, I think it was probably one of the better things I did. I ended up not living in Isla Vista at all last year. My semester system went into winter quarter, so I ended up staying in Barcelona for an extra month. It ended up being 6 months total. Then I came back, of course, when coronavirus hit, and stayed at home. But it was probably one of the best experiences I've had as a UCSB student. And this is Barcelona. This is like the industrial side. You can kind of see a beautiful port. Some of the other pictures. The beach, which was lovely, another beach and some more beach. I really like the beach, if you can't tell. And there's me and my housemate. Perfect. Oh yeah, I got to learn a lot about Spanish culture. So that log that you see, his name is Cagatillo. And something very fun is kids hit him with a stick until he, excuse my language, but like craps out presents. And that's a custom there that they have. And so you have these little logs everywhere. The kids come up and hit it with sticks. It was really fun. And then when I first got to Spain, we went to all these festivals, and they do human towers. So it was super fun to go out with all of my UC Abroad friends. And I went with a lot of people from Santa Barbara that I'd never met before. And it was so interesting because I became really, really close to these people, but I'd never felt like I'd seen them before here in Isla Vista. So the connections I made were insane and great. And getting to go live through these fun festivals and see people climb each other was really cool. Yeah, pretty much all I have for you right now.
Thank you, Grace, and please, yeah, we'll do questions soon. So now we'll move from Spain to Singapore. Sam, are you there?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So I'm Sam. I'm a fourth year environmental studies BS major, and I'm an earth science minor. And I studied at the National University of Singapore in the spring of last year. So I unfortunately only stayed for 3 months because my program got suspended due to COVID. But it was an incredible experience even for just those 3 months. Just to give a little bit of context, that picture of the pool is, so the buildings right behind that are the dorms that I lived in. And so those dorms are typically where a lot of study abroad students live, which was kind of nice to meet a lot of people that were also abroad. And that pool is like on top of the gym. So it was like living in paradise. It was, I mean, obviously Isla Vista is like that too, but this was like really different. But yeah, so I lived on campus in those dorms. I took 2 classes for the ES major. One ended up counting for the B1 for any BS majors, the science electives, and then one counted for the B2. And then an earth science class, and then a GE, so a Chinese art class. I got credit for all the classes that I thought I was going to, which was awesome. And I took classes with a lot of Singaporean students. A lot of the students that studied abroad at the National University of Singapore were business students that I met. So a lot of my classes in geography were almost completely NUS students, which was really awesome. All of my group projects that I was in, it was all NUS students and myself, which got a little tricky when I got sent home because of the 16-hour time difference, but we made it work. And they're super nice. And like a lot of people say like, oh, you have to go up to them, like they're gonna be shy. But they were like so welcoming, and they all like everyone that I met was super, super nice. And so I'll just give a little context to the rest of the picture. So on the left, that and the right, or the middle, I mean, is Gardens by the Bay. And so they have the light show, which is on the left, is every night for free. People can just go, and they have this cool light show with like these artificial trees that they've built. And the middle is also Gardens by the Bay, but it's like their internal, it's like an inside native plant exhibit. It was really, really fun to walk around. The top picture, I got my scuba certification while I was abroad, and I did that in Malaysia. Not part of like study abroad, but I just organized it with a couple of my friends, which was really, really fun. And then, so in addition to going to Singapore, I actually studied abroad twice as a UCSB student. I went my summer after my freshman year to Ireland, and I did the summer physics program because I knew that I didn't want to take physics for a whole year, but I still wanted to do the Bachelor of Science. The 2 pictures on the left side of the screen, one is in Dublin, and then one is the Ring of Kerry in Ireland. And I would highly recommend that program to anyone who is a BS and is not super excited about taking physics for the entire year at UCSB and kind of wants to get it done and not have to think about it ever again. It was really fun. It was intense, but the curve is nice. Like the teachers are nice. You're gonna probably do relatively well as long as you like go to the lectures and do the tutorials and the labs, and still have time for fun. So I feel really lucky that I had that opportunity to go twice, and both really helped me finish my major and my minor within the 4 years, because I'll still graduate on time. Definitely some of the most important things that I took away from studying abroad was like cultural sensitivity. Like everyone does things different ways. I mean, especially going to an Asian country, because I'd never been to Asia before, there were a lot of cultural differences, but it was just really like interesting to talk to the Singaporean students about like their perceptions of the US and like our perceptions of Singapore, and like it was a really awesome experience to be able to have those kind of conversations. And a lot of the friends that I met abroad were from Europe and South America, so I also got to meet people from like all over the world while I was in Singapore. And the ES department is really nice about like giving credit and like wanting to give credit, so I wouldn't worry about like your classes not counting, as long as they're like aware of the classes that you're taking and like they're relatively similar to a class that's being offered at UCSB or like related to the environment. It should be pretty easy to get credit, which is really nice. But yeah, I can answer more questions in the Q&A, but I think for now that's it.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just like a little world tour, very briefly. We are moving to Scotland.
Okay, hi.
We have Veronica who's joining us. So Veronica, thank you.
Hi, I'm Veronica, and I am a senior. I'm currently double majoring in Environmental Studies BS and Biology. And so I went to the University of Edinburgh in Scotland last year during the fall, and I had a really great time. This is a picture of like kind of the aerial view of Scotland to the left, and then to the right is a picture of a hairy coo. They're like the national or like Scottish Highland cattle, and they're really cute. So a big thing for me when I wanted to study abroad was to not take like hard science classes. And so one of the courses I took was Sustainable Development. It counted for 8 units. It was for the B2 requirement, and it was really easy to transfer. I think this course was really cool because we had a lot of lectures from professors from a lot of different like backgrounds and perspectives. So we had professors like talk about development in China and like development in America, also like the UK system, and people also talked about professors from different disciplines also came in and gave lectures from like geography, economics, etc. And this was all in one course, which was really cool. The second course I took was History of Art for like the art requirement, which was really nice. And then the third course I took was just for fun. It was called Highland Bagpipes, History, Culture, and Performance. So I learned about Scottish culture, Scottish history, and history about the bagpipes. And I also learned how to play the instrument. So I actually bought like a practice chanter, and I still have it. And when I left, like the instructor was like, there's like pipe bands in the US as well, and in California, and I think one of the UCs actually has a pipe band, which is a really fun fact. And I went through the UC EAP program, which was really great. They made it super easy. I felt super prepared to go. And also, we had orientation the week before school started, and so I made a lot of like friends from the UC system. We had like 80 students studying abroad in Scotland, which was really cool. And I'm actually living with 2 of my friends that I met abroad. They also had like an office on our school campus at the University of Edinburgh, so they were really accessible for questions, or if anyone like felt homesick, they can go talk to them. And they also hosted really fun activities like Thanksgiving dinner and like English high tea, which was very fancy. And also while I was abroad, I joined the club water polo team, which is what you see in the left photo. So I feel like that was a really cool experience because I immersed myself in like the campus community, and then like met a lot of like local people. And I also actually got a scholarship through the UC EAP program to subsidize the costs for playing abroad, which was really nice. And I also made a lot of friends in like the UK and also got to travel a lot around Scotland and England for tournaments and play against other teams. It was just really interesting, like learning about their kind of club sports overall as well. And then I didn't spend too much time traveling to other countries in Europe, even though it was super cheap and also really fast plane rides. I think I wanted to focus more on like experiencing Scotland and living like there as a university student. So I think I prioritized more exploring nearby cities and also going to kind of day trips and weekend trips into the Scottish Highlands. And like they have beautiful landscapes and like a lot of history, which I really appreciated. Yeah. Oh, this is Victoria Street on the left. And I think it inspired Diagon Alley. Another thing, all the cafes in Scotland, in Edinburgh specifically, had like a little sign being like J.K. Rowling wrote part of Harry Potter here and whatnot. It was really funny. There's a lot of like culture and like cultural norms and history, which was beautiful. And the picture on the right is from the Scottish Highlands. It's very pristine. And during the holiday season, they also had like so many Christmas markets, which was really fun. I think within 1 month, I like went 5 times or something. It was really festive and I loved it. And so overall, I really enjoyed the experience and I do miss it. And I've been thinking a lot about going back. So I'm actually applying for grad schools in the UK right now for a research master's. And so hopefully I get to spend more time living in the UK. But yeah, that's my experience.
Thank you. And just tell us about this picture on the right.
Oh, that's during one of the opening ceremonies. And that's like the hall in Edinburgh.
At a school hall?
Yeah, it was part of
This is your Campbell Hall at Edinburgh?
Basically. I think they probably host like graduation and opening ceremonies and concerts there. So it was beautiful.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bravo. All right. And now we are going to the Netherlands. We have Yuki. Are you available? Yeah. Great.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, perfect. My name is Yuki and I'm a senior and I major in environmental studies BA and also psych BA. So while I was abroad, I went to Utrecht, which is in the Netherlands. It's kind of like a student college town, almost like Ivy, but definitely not the same. And it's kind of just like a nice homey and like very cottage-like, and they also like basically, I'm pretty sure there are more bikes in the Netherlands than people. So it's very much, similar to UCSB and bike culture, and just really like everyone gets everywhere using their bikes. Like you see parents with their kids in the back and flowers they have flowers in the front, just like biking everywhere. And it's just really cool to see that. So that was one thing that I really loved about Utrecht. And so I guess to start with the classes, I would say the difference was that for me, it felt a lot more, I took classes for both my psych major and my ES major while I was abroad. And a lot of them, some of them were already pre-approved and some of them weren't. So it was super easy to communicate back and forth. Even before I went abroad, I went and double checked with Eric to make sure that everything was looking okay. And he gave me feedback about what he thinks would be considered or wouldn't be considered for credit. And if I was really adamant about taking a class, I still went ahead and took it just because I had credits that I was able to be lenient about. But just make sure you plan everything beforehand. And then once you actually get there, you can see what kind of courses you were actually able to get enrolled for, and then you can communicate back and forth with your academic specialist. And it was super easy to do that. I would get my response the next day and then I could just immediately sign up for the course that I wanted. So as I was saying, it's a lot more interactive, a lot more group projects, and the Dutch are very good at speaking English. They speak English like native English speakers. So it was never a problem for me to try to communicate with any of them. But again, they definitely have a very different kind of like just culture, whether it be school or outside of school. So that was always something that was very eye-opening, and learning how to like, I guess, work with a diverse group of people. And the environmental issues that were covered in class were always so interesting to see how different it was. Like they would have green roofs on top of bus stations, like bus stops, so that bees could come and be attracted to it, and just try to bring the like nature into the city, like urban nature almost. And they also talked a lot about like flying. I think that was definitely one of the things that was talked about the most in class, was just about how flying is like terrible for the environment. And they have a very like advanced train system, so you could really travel anywhere. Like I went by train to multiple cities in the Netherlands, and also went to Belgium. And yeah, as for travel, you're able to like travel a lot, because at least for me, the course load was pretty small, or I wouldn't say small, but you have less lecture time, but there tend to be longer. I mean, this depends on like every university, like whichever university you go to, but for me, it was definitely like longer lectures, but more just you have fewer days where you have to attend, so you have a lot of time to travel. But it again depends on whatever course you're taking. And smaller class sizes for the courses I was taking, and they're very specialized, or they're just topics that I felt like I actually never had really seen at UCSB. They had one about anthropology and sustainability, and environmental impact assessment, which is actually taught by an American professor. So it was kind of interesting to like see someone like hear an American accent during one of my Dutch classes. And then I also took one on technological innovation systems, which was very cool. And I had trouble with getting credit for that when it came back, but I spoke to Elijah, and he was able to kind of, again, like Chris was saying, make sure you have your paperwork, because that was what saved me from actually getting the credit, because I was able to show Elijah like, hey, this is the paper that I finished, and I know it doesn't really look like the actual course is really super about ES, but I think that it actually fulfills some criteria, and I was able to get credit for it eventually. And one thing, several things I really liked is that, like Veronica was saying, there's a lot of guest lectures, which was really cool. And for my, one of the classes taking landscape ecology, they had us basically do research projects that actually could benefit the community. And that Green Office Utrecht, which is actually the organization I volunteered for, as you can see in this picture, they could use that data and work alongside master students to improve sustainability on campus, whether it be in food or just like having more like green corridors on our campus. So as I was saying, with Green Office Utrecht, I volunteered and joined the food committee. So what we would do, we try to put on a sustainable food festival until it got canceled because of COVID. But other than that, we went to like In Stock, which is a very famous in the Netherlands. Like it's a restaurant that's known for turning food waste from supermarkets into kind of like fine, well, not fine dining, but just like gourmet dishes, which was super cool. And I went there and learned a lot from them because of Green Office. We also just did a lot of like food waste sustainability initiatives on campus. And I definitely also have future plans, I hope at least, when everything gets better, to go back to Utrecht and visit some people. And I also was able actually to become when I first got there, they have like a international network for students, and it's called ESN, which you might see on a lot of the locations that you're looking at, because ESN is a pretty large organization. And basically it's just for like international students to get to know other international students. And I was able to join the introduction week of that. And then I studied for the whole year. So the next semester, I was able to actually be the tour guide and mentor these new international students coming in, and show them around our city and everything like that. So the key takeaway for me is just that I think it's so important to step out of our comfort zone and really that gives you the most out of your experience. Otherwise, I would never have been able to do all these things that you can see here in the picture. And that's the library at the city center. Yeah.
Bravo. Thank you so much. So you guys were great, and we still have a little bit of time for questions. I did put into the chat these students plus a few other ES majors who recently studied abroad and have all agreed to be contacted if you had specific questions. But we can open it up now. There's so many different experiences there that have been discussed. And first of all, just let me say thank you very much. Great job, and thank you so much for sharing. So yeah, whether it's questions by text or by voice.
We are here to help. I will just, while you guys are thinking your questions, just add, one of the common questions we always asked is, when should I go abroad? And I always like to kind of dispel the myth that you only can go abroad during your sophomore, or most people think their junior year. And that is true. A lot of people do tend to go their junior year because they feel comfortable enough that they're ready to leave the university for a while, and then they want to come back their senior year. But especially given the COVID impact that we've had here, a lot of you might not be thinking, I can't go abroad anymore because I'm going to be a senior next year. It is definitely true that you can go abroad your senior year. Sometimes if you plan it out right, you can even go abroad fall quarter of your 5th year, as long as you still have some requirements left and still get financial aid to pay for it and all that. So please don't be discouraged by the fact that you might be a little bit farther along in your education from going abroad. Plus, you can always just go for a semester long, or so you only miss one half of your senior year. There are lots of different ways to set it up. So again, please use your resources such as your ES advisors, the EAP office staff. If there's somewhere you really want to go, we will do everything that we can on our end to help you find a way to do it and to make it work. So just keep that in mind. Don't be discouraged if you're a senior about going abroad.
So we do have a question for the students about, did any of you go for an entire year while also doing a double major? Was it hard or stressful to get all of your required units? And I would expand that question, that even if you did studying abroad keep you on pace to graduation, put you ahead? How did the experience work for you as far as progressing to your degree? Any of the returnees?
Yeah, just go ahead and jump in.
I actually went abroad for an entire year. Well, I plan to until like March, I think. So I went in August/September, and then came back March. And I am doing double major, and it was not stressful at all. As long as you plan accordingly, I don't think it's going to be stressful. And even when I got back, I had to drop the classes back at Utrecht, so I actually didn't get credit for some of them. But I was still able to, I'm still graduating. I'm actually graduating a quarter early, so you'll definitely have time as long as you plan everything out. And just make sure that you're in a good standing before you go.
Yeah, and I'll just jump on the next one here. It says, is there a common or more popular study abroad program ES students go on? This is one of the things that I'm trying to emphasize. No, I have students, 101 students in 24 different countries last year. There's a few countries that are a little bit more popular, especially those that are maybe English speaking if you don't have a second language. But it just really depends on where you want to go. If you've always wanted to go see Australia, there's a bunch of universities there. If you really want to go visit Europe, South America, Africa, it just really kind of depends on a combination of goals that you have personally and places you want to go and visit. But keeping in mind that outside concentration gives you a lot of flexibility. You don't have to go to a place that specializes in environmental courses. You could go and take care of your outside concentration in another field or discipline. So thanks for the question, Ella. But yeah, I would say it's wide open. So, you know, explore to your heart's content and see where you really want to personally go.
So there's another question about themed and immersion programs. So an immersion program is going to a host university. So imagine a UCSB, a University of Sydney, University of Edinburgh. There is no theme per se. It is just a university where you have the ability to select your courses from any of a wide range of departments. A theme program will be, you know, created often just for UC students and around a theme. So it will have very limited coursework. The themes might be environmental, it could be social justice, it could be, you know, biological research. There are, you know, innumerable of them. But in those cases, the coursework available will be more limited. In some cases, you have no choice. I mean, it is a set curriculum around that theme. So, you know, they're different. If that theme works for you, it's nice, it's easy, you know exactly what you're taking. But it is a different type of program. It will typically be, you know, much more with UC students and a little bit more insulated in that sense. But yeah, there's just, there are other types of programs I would call language and culture programs, you know, and if you're interested in working on a language, perfecting a language, those are a great option. And then finally, there are some programs that are really aimed at research and or interning. So that's a fourth type of program. I realize we are coming up to the 6 o'clock. So yeah, Sam has something else to add, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time. And we do have, you know, the resources there in the chat. But yes, Sam, please tell us.
I just wanted to really quickly, someone asked about how we chose where we went and like, was it based on courses? I just wanted to plug the EIP office because I knew I wanted to go to Asia, but I had no idea really where in Asia I wanted to go. So I met with a couple of the regional advisors, and the regional advisor for Singapore basically was like, they speak English. I don't speak any other languages besides English. So she said they speak English, it's really safe, it's Central and Southeast Asia, so it'll be super easy to travel. They are like super environmentally progressive, like a lot of students have gone there and like really helped me determine where I wanted to go. And so I think if you're unsure, but you kind of have an idea, I would definitely reach out to the EAP regional advisors because they know the most about the programs and they'll be able to like help you determine like what the best fit is for what you want to do abroad.
Great advice. And I do, just want to say how fortunate you are in this major, that I think one, it's very flexible, but two, the topic is so applicable to a global experience. I mean, to get out there and really see what is going on in other countries, what's going on in terms of environmental activism, policies, different approaches to these global problems that we all face. So I think it's a fantastic major to take abroad with you and to learn, what things are being done, and you will, I think it will enhance your studies and knowledge of the subject area when you come back.
Absolutely. And you can see on your screen here, I just wanted to plug some of the URLs and then just really encourage you to download the guidelines for applying study abroad for ES majors. This is written specifically for students interested in studying abroad, and it will give you kind of a rundown of exactly our requirements and the areas you can apply your abroad units towards the major, and kind of the criteria that we use to assess which courses will work and which won't. So please feel free to download that off of our website. It's a great resource and it should hopefully kind of help you figure things out a little bit more quickly.
thank you. A big hand to our returnees. Thank you so much for being available, for preparing for the meeting, and for giving such thoughtful responses. Thank you for everyone who came to join us, and please follow up by visiting with us and contacting the advisors and the students. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you again to all of our returning ES majors. And I really encourage all of those who are participating today or watching this to consider going abroad. Again, it's one of the best things I think you can do in your undergraduate education. Don't be one of those people like me that regrets not being able to do it. So thanks again, everyone, for participating. Have a great evening, and please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.